Welcome to My Wild Magic with me, your host, Adrienne Cobb. Join me on a journey back home to your truest self in this inspiring, enlightening, and entertaining show. After a near-death experience in a car crash at 15 years old, I made a choice to stay and brought back with me 3 simple truths that I found from the other side. Love is all there is. Our time is over here quicker than we think, and we all have a purpose, a soul blueprint to fulfill. On this show, you will find a higher purpose, a creative expression, and unique soul attributes that you can bring forth into this world. Stay tuned with me for the next hour and find your higher purpose on My Wild Magic, starting now. Welcome, everyone. I am Adrienne Cobb, and you're listening to My Wild Magic with Adrienne on Transformation Talk Radio. And today we have a super cool guest on. Her name is Jennifer Olwig, and she is an artist. Today in our series, we are working with the Indigo Souls and what they're all about. And Jennifer here is more of a diamond indigo soul, and how she chooses to express her clarity of mind and her energy of truth is through her art. And I really love what she said here about her energy, but she was like, she likes to focus, to draw the feelings of connection, beauty, and harmony out of the heart and into the physical surroundings, expanding the field of spirit. As within, so without. I mean, what an amazing introduction to yourself. I mean, if that's not written by a true diamond indigo child, I don't know what is. So Jennifer, welcome. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So to get started, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself or how you got started, like you're into art? Like, what was the inspiration for this particular modality, and what kind of art do you do?
Yeah. So, it's funny. I always say once an artist, always an artist kind of thing. I think you just kind of come in with it, and then you just keep developing and remembering and getting new opportunities to discover more that's in you, to express out of you. So after college, I moved to Los Angeles, and I was in holistic nutrition and fitness, and I went to school for fashion design, product development. And so I was kind of finding my way, like right out of college, into this big, great new world of opportunity. And I had a double wrist surgery, and coming
Double
out
what surgery?
a wrist surgery on
Wrist.
both.
That's what I thought you said, your wrist.
Yeah,
Whoa.
which is interesting enough as it relates to painting and using your hands and
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
creating. And so I came out of the surgery and had this just really strong just impulse to paint. And butterflies in particular is what was coming to the forefront of my mind's eye. And so I went to the Butterfly House in St. Louis, where I was in town getting my surgery, which was my hometown. And it just kind of opened up the whole new world of diving back in and using my hands and creative expression through fine art.
Wow. And what caused you didn't have the need of 2 wrist surgeries? Was that your exercise or something different?
Yeah, I was teaching fitness classes, and I had they were called ganglion cysts, and I had one in each wrist. And they got so big that I couldn't really teach anymore without having to modify. And the method didn't like it when teachers had to modify. So I had to step out of that. It sort of forced me to stop teaching and step into something new. And so the physical experience redirected me.
Yeah, well, I was about to say that happens to a lot of people where our body doesn't lie. And I think sometimes the finer tuned our energy is on a spirit level to our body, we can read it really well to know what direction to go into. But spirit and our guides and angels and star beings oftentimes will influence us, and our body just really will put us in that direction. And it sounds like it did with you, because I mean, for a double wrist ganglia thing, that's like a serious deal of like, no, you're on the wrong path. Go this direction. you know, and
I
it's
know.
amazing because painting, it doesn't sound like you have any problem at all. You're just in there using your wrist all.
Right. And it's so wild because, like, I mean, I took some art classes here and there growing up. I was really interested in high school. We didn't have a big art program, but it was enough to, keep the fire burning. But yeah, I just kind of jumped into it and am pretty self-taught in the fine art space. So I've kind of just
Yeah.
gone with it, as I begun back in, this was in 2013 when I stepped
Well,
into fine art as my path.
yeah, and done pretty well. So I know I was trying to think about it when you were saying you had double wrist surgery. I'm like, I don't know if you ever seen the one of the YouTube videos where they have like Ella the elephant or something where she paints with her her whatever the trunk, and I'm thinking it's a good thing your wrist healed or spirit was gonna have its way no matter what. You'd be in there like painting with your mouth or whatever. You would have had to do it, you would
Hey,
have.
and they did one wrist at a time, so that was good.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I had this one clairvoyant guy I talked to. Actually, he's the guy that you knew. You recommended him and it got recommended to me. Oh man, I can't remember his name now. He does the stuff where he does the soul blueprint on your work. Oh, do you know him?
Oh,
Yes, that guy. It's funny, we like totally draw a blank on his name now. Anyway, that guy, one of his things was if you remember his name, let me know because I want to introduce him. But anyway, one of his things was when he was telling me his story was that his was money. So in a way, you had the wrist surgery. He was making so much money on Wall Street or whatever his business was at the time that
oh,
the more
Heath.
money, Heath,
Was
yeah,
it Heath?
yeah, and the more money he made, the sicker his body got. And he had to quit doing what he was doing and then turn around and find his own spiritual path, of helping people do soul blueprint business plans and stuff like that for themselves. Yeah. So what's his last name?
Heath Ellis.
Heath Ellis. Yes. Anybody wants to look him up, heathellis.com, I think is his website. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we all have our things that point us in the right direction. So that's pretty fabulous. Yeah. So with painting, did you find that you had an interest in that earlier on? Like a lot of times the diamond indigo children a lot of times can be quite visual, like intuitively visual in terms of seeing colors, seeing the future, seeing other realms. Did you find as a child that you also had more of a type of more maybe advanced sort of insightfulness to you or visionary abilities?
Yeah, I would say as a child, I don't know so much about the vision part, but I was very refined in my feeling body. Um,
Mhm.
I was drawn to nature and I loved being alone. So for me, it helped me to almost like stay in this purity of like my
Mhm.
own presence and my own pure feeling, sort of, kind of away from
Ah,
projections. I loved music, always have loved music. And I'd find that I'd almost receive like insight, like revelations out of nowhere. And I would share them with adults and kind of get like laughed off or, that type of thing.
mhm.
But I was really into my room and it feeling a certain way and into design and art and poetry and just very, very sensitive to all those things that surround me and the way they make me feel.
Oh man, I love that. And I really love the way you honored your sacred space too. You know what I mean? Because a lot of young kids may not always do that, or maybe they're overran by other people in the house or siblings or whatever. But if you had any guidance for young people in terms of honoring their space, what would you say? Because it sounds like you naturally did that right up front. And yeah, so
Yeah, I mean, really just make it feel and look and give you that energy that makes you feel closer to yourself. And for me, gives you a sense of peace.
mhm.
Because I find through the energy of peace, that's when everything opens up and can come to me of what is correct for
Mhm.
me in that moment and what really is mine and clear. Um, so whatever that might be for you, and it might not even be your own room, maybe it's just going out in nature and spending some time alone to kind of clear out all the other stuff so what is you.
Yeah, that is brilliantly said. Because for a lot of people, particularly the indigos or people with special traits, high empathy, things of that nature, it's being able to delineate the difference between what you feel and what somebody else feels. It's such a big deal. Yeah, and I would
Mhm.
agree.
I didn't realize until I was older. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
realize how absorbent I was. I was so spongy. And
Hmm.
finally, when I'd get in my own spaces as an adult, I realized how much I took on as a kid. And I was so grateful at the time as a kid. Knew to do that intuitively. But as an adult, it actually, like, it made sense. Like, I had conscious awareness of how it was serving me.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. The peace goes a long way. There's just so much that goes on in this world on so many collective levels and the types of empathy you have. And it sounds as though like with your artwork, you have some beautiful series, and it sounds as though you do have some things out around the world, like with your art. Can you tell us a little bit about where your art is located in case anybody listening is located in that area?
Yeah, so right now, my home for my art is on my website. That's where most people find me, or on Instagram, which is Jennifer Olwig at the at sign Jennifer Olwig. And I'm just in collections and personal collections kind of around the world. And then I showed at a gallery in Tulsa called Exhibit by Aberson, which that show is complete now. And then I did two exhibits through the other art fair. One was in Los Angeles and one was in New York. So I'm kind of just listening and attuning to where my artwork wants to go next. I'll do trunk shows in different cities. I did one here in Watercolor, Florida, where I am right now.
Which is
Um,
such a great name for a town, Watercolor. I mean, how good can you get for any artist? Yeah.
yeah, and I've done a couple in St. Louis. I'll be down in Houston for a charity event doing a trunk show. So trunk shows have really been a fun way for me to just step out and connect with people through the work.
And how does the trunk shows work actually, if nobody's ever been?
Yeah, so pretty much I connect in some way with either a shop or boutique or something like that, and we sort of make a plan to show a select amount of work for sale. And so usually it's small works, and then my prayer candle as well. So I
Mhm.
have a soy wax prayer candle. I have fine art note cards. And then I have small original artworks that I'll sell, and I'll just bring everything and go for, it's usually about 4 hours, and just connect with people on the artwork and how it comes through me. And it's really quite magical seeing how it's gifting people in that moment.
Yeah, and I think that being able to meet you in person seems like it goes a long way. I think anytime you can connect with the artist, and what they're influenced by. But yeah, so you have these prayer candles. I'm super fascinated by them.
Yeah.
So, Jessica, I don't know if you can put those up for anybody who's watching on YouTube, the prayer candles, the images for those. But, with a prayer candle, because people think about candles, I'm going to burn a candle or I'm going to give the gift of a candle or whatever. Oftentimes they have fragrances, which I happen to be kind of sensitive to. So I don't really go for those all the time unless they're high essential oil ones. But so how does a prayer candle work? Like, what's the point in somebody? How does that engage somebody?
Yeah, so the prayer candles, I've been really big into lighting a candle is a ritual for me, or very ceremonial for me when I'm invoking energy or a shift or honoring something just as a part of my spiritual practice.
Mhm.
And I was having a hard time finding what I wanted out
There you
there.
go.
And so I was like, I'm going to create my own candle. And the angels of the sacred fire came forward to
Mm.
um, be the representative of this first candle. So I did the artwork for the angels of the sacred fire, and then a prayer came streaming through. So I wrote that prayer down and then created the label with the artwork. And then I found a company local in St. Louis that has been pouring church prayer candles for over 100 years. And
Wow,
it's,
that's so
yeah,
cool.
so the history is incredible. And yeah, so they pour everything for me. And then I bless the candles, clear the candles, and clean them all, put on the label. And I use a botanical dyed silk ribbon to finish it. And then there's a little card that talks about the history of the company that pours them, and then a little bit about the candle itself. Um,
Yeah.
and they burn for about 120 hours. So someone can do a novena. And they're just really beautiful. They're unscented soy wax, so they burn clean and
That's nice. I can tell
just
you right now, that just made it to my Christmas list for whatever I'm giving people this year. They're getting those for sure. Stocking stuffer number one is going to be the candles. Yeah.
yeah, they're super lovely and just I
And so they
noticed
they so if I'm understanding correctly, they have like you did artwork for them. So maybe they have, can you give us an example of what, I know that Jessica's going to put them up, but for anybody who's just listening, can you describe the artwork on them?
yeah, so it's a sketch, a graphite sketch of an angel, and the angel is the angel of the sacred fire, and it has a threefold flame in her heart,
Mhm.
and she is activating all of the prayers. So she's sort of like your sponsor who's carrying your prayers
Mhm.
throughout the cosmos to bring alignment of your intention back to you. So
Wow, we all need one. I hope you got good supply sources. Yeah, that old-timey candle company is fixing to be hit up pretty hard, I think, actually.
totally, I know they've been so
Right?
great too.
You and Trevor and little puppy dog's gonna be in there just, getting those images on and blessing them in bulk. Yeah, right.
Oh, it is. It's so funny. There'll be like 13 dozen candles in there that I'll be blessing. And I'm like, I feel like our cottage is going to blast off the face of the earth.
Yes, right. Yeah, I know for my home, I do a lot of readings of people and stuff, but whenever I cleanse it once a week, I make sure that I retone all the portals, doorways, windows with the great central sun energy, the spiritual hierarchy. But I always download into my home, no matter where I live, that it's a temple of light. Like I just like really holding that energy that because it does too. And then sometimes people come in that aren't used to the energy, they'll start falling asleep or they will. But I imagine that your home doing that much qualification of energy is carrying itself like a sacred fire temple for yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's funny because our home, it looks a lot like my artwork and the way I dress and everything. People are always like, you are your artwork. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I
right.
know. It's
Well,
all one.
that's more complimentary than people who say, gosh, you look just like your dog, you know. You look just like your artwork. That's definitely, I think I'd rather go that direction. Yeah. Right. Totally.
Shows
Yeah.
integration, right?
Yeah, 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 it's true. Yeah. So you got the candle thing going, and that's its own whole thing,
Yeah.
which sounds so beautiful. Yeah. And is there a standard prayer that kind of goes with it? Like I know anybody can use the candle for what their personal prayer is, but do you have sort of a prayer, the one that channeled through you that kind of goes into all of them, or are they different prayers, different candles?
Yeah, so right now I have just the first candle that came through, and the prayer is sort of like a prayer that seals your own prayers,
Mm,
invocations, dreams, wishes, whatever. Because a lot of people have told me like they don't know how to pray, like they don't know what to say, they don't have the words, and so I find that just telling them, just go into your heart and go into your intention of just your heart. Doesn't matter what your words are, and here's your prayer to seal it, and I find that people just love that because it gives them the
yeah.
freedom to take it and run with it themselves.
Yeah, kind of ground out a little bit. So is that prayer actually on the back of the candle or does it come as a
It's on
piece
the
of paper
front.
with it?
Yeah, it's on the front of the candle underneath the sketch of the angel.
Got it. Okay. So it's a done deal. You cannot mess this up, basically. It's a done deal.
You can't
Yeah,
mess it
right.
up.
That's cool. So, I really like this concept, and we're going to take a quick break and come back to how I think you're really teaching people how to manifest, how to
Mm,
be their own divine presence and manifest in life through this. But we're going to take a quick break, and you're listening to My Wild Magic with Adrienne. We have Jennifer Olwig on with us tonight, and we will be back in just a moment. Stay tuned. Welcome. I am Adrienne Cobb, and you're listening to My Wild Magic with Adrienne. And on with us today is our fabulous artist, Jennifer Olwig, who does a multiple things of spiritual art and art that really brings in the connection to nature, connecting with your heart and your spirituality with the beauty that she brings in through her art. So, Jennifer, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then how can people get in touch with you if they want to get one of those fabulous, we were just talking about these amazing prayer candles, if you're just, stepping into the show that she has. So how can people find those prayer candles?
Yeah, so my website is jenniferolwig.com. So everything's on there. And if you want to email me, it's studio@jenniferolwig.com.
Okay. And that's Olwig. So
That's it.
Jennifer, JenniferOlwig.com. Okay, yeah, that's cool. All right, yeah, so definitely visit her site. And what we were talking about was with the prayer candles is that a lot of people may not know how to pray or let's say bless, and it's really a natural element of being a human being. Like it's part of our energetic system to
Mhm.
pray, which is a sense of maybe being in connection to spirit and that divine source energy, that pure love and light energy, and then also to turn around and be able to bless others with those prayers, because we're like a battery. We're like this energetic battery, right? And so it sounds like with your prayer candles, it's a really great, first step for helping people, get in alignment with that. So, what is your intention with people in terms of helping them connect to their spirituality and their spiritual human divine presence?
Yeah. So for me, it's always come through as a feeling. And so as I get into a harmonious state, a peaceful state within myself and my own connection, I find that it almost just comes through as a radiation when I'm present to people, or it comes through as a radiation through the artwork itself. So the artwork is almost, it serves almost like as like a transmitter or even a portal at times, where it opens up and radiates the feeling tone of a higher energy, even a heavenly energy, to people within their own hearts or minds, and even within their home itself.
Mhm. It does. Yeah, I do find that all the molecules, the atoms, the electrons are blessed when we do hold a higher frequency energy in whatever intention we hold. And then when you connect to the sacred fire angels, I usually think of those as from the great central sun. But do you think of that, or do you think of them as somewhere else? Like, how do you relate to the sacred fire angels?
So I really relate to them being around our heart and our heart flame, and
Mhm.
they're fanning the flame of our heart so that we have the courage to act from the truth of our being, and helping us to clear the blockages, illusions, limitations that are within and around us, to really step into the fullness of our God presence.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, sacred fire angels. So, would you relate that sort of to the divine feminine or Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, just the heart, the sacred heart, the soul energy?
I guess in a lot of ways I relate it more to like just the soul itself. I don't see it as
Yeah.
masculine or feminine. I see it
Yeah.
as it's like almost like angels of creation, and they're helping us to really be co-creators of our life.
Yes, and that's my point right there. So
Yep.
be co-creators. So really, when we look at your energy as a like an indigo diamond child, you're really coming in, let's say, with your higher vibrational resonance and teaching people how to create from their divine presence. And you happen to be doing it through the modality of art. Somebody else might could do it through spirituality or through politics or through, gosh, I only know however people can do it, right? Life coach work. But I love that, you know what I mean? That you're really teaching people ultimately how to be creators. And I would imagine just, with your past lives that are very active in you, it seems as though you have been a master teacher before of other
Mhm.
people, teaching them how to create through the divine presence, through the God presence. And you found a way in this lifetime, in this 21st century, to find a way to do it that seems a whole lot easier than probably some of your other past lives even.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting too, because I feel like it's activated more within me since the pandemic unfolded, and really seeing that I really only do have one choice in this life as the soul that I am, that there really aren't other paths any longer to choose from. That I feel like, in previous years when I would go through different, trials and tribulations of being an artist, it's really because I thought there were so many different paths I could choose. Mostly coming from the ego, of like, oh, you could do this, and there's all these suggestions, and trying to find my own way. But as kind of the pandemic unfolded and I really went into this, quiet space within myself, even more of a depth of space than I had before,
Mhm.
and found that there's really only one path for me. And when I choose that singular path, it really simplifies, and um, it just makes it all actually so much easier to just show up fully to what is right in front of me and be present to that journey that I'm here for. And it's been quite miraculous, actually, the past couple of years.
I mean, that's just like so beautiful. It makes me want to cry. I mean, it really is quite extraordinary what you're saying, because I do think that people are just overwhelmed with emotion, overwhelmed with choices, overwhelmed with stuff. And right now, it's almost like you owning your truth of just finding that single-minded focus of the thing you love so much and just
Mhm.
trusting yourself and having faith in it and doing it. You're very successful at what you do. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, kind of artists, whatever, you know what I mean? But you're doing great with that.
Thank
So,
you.
and finding that single-minded night, I feel very blessed myself to have a single-minded focus. It's one thing I never
Yes.
question. And I do feel like it's one of the greatest blessings. And I work with a lot of people who don't necessarily know their path. And I wonder, what gives people permission? Like, I think just hearing you talk, that's what's so touching to me, is that it's okay that what you're doing, what I'm doing, what any of us choose to do single-mindedly is okay. It's just
Yeah.
okay, just
Yeah.
as it is. We don't have to be anything more than what we are, and we don't have to be anything less than what we are.
Mhm.
And it sounds like you have found that middle path.
Well, I mean, when the pandemic hit, I saw so much separation. And
Mhm.
in seeing that, I was able, like almost on a screen, to see all the separation I held in myself. And
Yeah.
I made a decision in that moment that I'm no longer going to separate from myself. I cannot do that in this life. It's not an option anymore. And that's what changed everything for me inside myself.
Yeah, well, your angels are coming in with yet another project for you as we're talking, that you should really take these words of wisdom, turn around, get the recording of what you've just said throughout this entire podcast, make it a book, put your art into it, and have it be a table cup, a coffee table book, whatever. But seriously, you have so much wisdom that's just literally channeling kind of straight through you.
Mhm.
I would highly recommend you take your own journey and yeah, make a book out of it. That's another way of inspiring people of the story with the art and the beings that you connect with. Yeah, it's extraordinary, actually. You're extraordinary.
You're plucking that right out of my head because that little idea's been sitting in there.
Well, it's there, and they're like, okay, let's get her on to the next project. It's good. You're good to go on it. You got a big green light out. So, when you do connect to, like, for instance, you're connecting to Sacred Heart angels, right, around the heart, and that's one of your affinities, is the Sacred Heart angel. We have different affinities for different types of spiritual beings. Sometimes it's ascended master, sometimes it's an angel, sometimes it might be, star tribes or whatever. But your tribe of light actually comes in very much from a lot of, it feels like a very high vibrational sort of star being, and then it feels like you've blended your consciousness with the angelic realms along the way because you have such a love for them. So it's like
Mm,
you're one of those hybrid souls of like the angelic star tribes, you know what I mean, as part of your
yeah.
diamond indigo energy. But when you tap into your own personal kind of spiritual connection and whatever, do you ever connect to the star beings as well? Like, do you find that the star energies also come through your art?
You know,
Elemental devas, nature kingdom oftentimes is influenced by the star beings as well.
Yeah, so the nature kingdom I am very, very connected with, and that comes through my series Body of Roses. And that also is very connected to Mother Mary. And she came to me through the roses, through a commission, actually. And that was in right before I got married. I had a client reach out and she shared this incredible story about how she was wanting to get pregnant with a daughter, and she had all sons and she was having a really hard time. And Mother Mary came to her holding a rose, telling her she would have her daughter. And she asked me if I would paint the rose that Mother Mary was holding.
Wow, another how deeply touched. I'm just gonna like start crying through this entire interview. That's just so amazing. So Jessica, can you make sure that the roses, the photos of her roses go up too? Thank you.
Yeah, so that almost opened up and activated Mother Mary's energy with me through me. And I mean, I always connected with Mother Mary. I grew up with in a Catholic background, Catholic family, so very familiar with her, but never this intimately before. And when I said yes to the project, it's almost like this flood of divine love just poured through me, and I felt like I was losing myself inside this rose, this portal, as I was painting it. And I was even tell Trevor, my husband, and I'm just like, I feel like I am enmeshed with, like, I'm blended with this energy. I don't know where I stop and the rose begins anymore. And so that opened up the whole series of roses called Body of Roses.
Wow, I've seen your rose series. It's quite beautiful. And I know that even just from looking at the roses, it does draw you in. Like there's something about the energy of it that you do just start to feel one. And again, blessed, sort of like with your candles, you literally feel blessed in the series of the roses. And the roses are paintings, but they're also the note cards or?
So right now, Body of Roses paintings, they are large scale acrylic paintings using rose water on Belgian linen. Uh,
Rose water
yeah, yep.
on Belgian linen. I mean, wow.
Yeah, so the linen I'm starting to, I'm working with a textile dealer now, and she's helping me source heirloom linen that's homespun. So it's made by hand from France from the 1800s, and they're like bed sheets. So otherwise, this linen would have kind of just been tucked away and lost, forever, like in a trunk somewhere. And so I'm reviving it and bringing its beauty back through these roses.
Wow, that is so elegant. Like
It is so
so
fun.
elegant, like grace itself. It's literally like grace itself.
It is.
It carries that energy. Yeah. So and then with the Rose collection, again, people can find any of her work at Jennifer Olwig, OLWIG.com. Take a look at those.
And I have
Yeah.
two prints. So two of my roses are available as fine art prints that you can order. So it's great that they're much more accessible and economical for most people. Typically, the rose collection that I do is commission based. So I'll customize the rose for the soul who is commissioning it for me.
Wow. So let's say that a little bit more. So basically, people can get the print. There's two that are in print. If they wanted to do that, it's more economical and they'll be blessed by that. But if somebody wanted to have something blessed, sort of like the lady who wanted the female baby,
Yes.
had a blessing by you, and this was the channeled work that opened up this like doorway for you of this particular
Yes.
type of your work. And so now you can also offer that to other people who, if they have a blessing of something that they want, you'll use that same sort of pathway, that spiritual pathway, that connection to Mother Mary, to bring it
Mhm.
in and commission it on the Belgian sheets, the
Uh-huh.
French cloth,
Yeah.
with the rose water and any other
Yeah.
paints that would go along with that. Yeah.
Yep. And then most of
Wow.
the images of roses come from my garden or from gardens of different florists or different people that I know. And then the person who it's commissioned for gets to choose which image speaks to their heart and opens their heart the most.
Oh my God.
And
Okay.
so
So next year, I can't remember exactly when it is. I think it's probably late summer. You have got to come to Portland. You have just got to, because this is the season of roses. And we have a rose garden here that has thousands of rose gardens over at Washington Park. And they're all smelly, and they're known internationally, and they're like it's like a contest kind of thing or whatever, but they've been there for a long, long time. There is nothing like it.
yeah,
Actually, it's amazing. So you and Trevor have got to come out and take a look at the Garden of Roses, because
it
it's,
sounds amazing.
and you could just take pictures, smell them, whatever you got to do, but it'll be very inspirational for you. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. You're with My Wild Magic with Adrienne on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay tuned. Welcome. I am Adrienne Cobb. You're listening to My Wild Magic with Adrienne on Transformation Talk Radio. And today we have Jen Olwig with us. Such a lovely soul, one of the highest souls on the planet. I'm thinking the more I'm talking to her, just second by second, I'm like feeling very humbled here at all of her divine connections. So yeah, so we were just talking about during the break, her connection to Mother Mary and the Rose series that she has. And she has two that are in print that you can go to her website, jenniferolwig.com, and check it out. Or you can also commission her as well for something that maybe you want blessed in your life, or something that feels sacred to you. But she was just telling us a story about how she was doing a trunk show in New York. And as people were coming up and telling really beautiful stories and stuff, that people were smelling the scent of roses, all over the place of where she was hanging out. And sometimes that happens when an ascended master, which, Mother Mary is considered an ascended master, but when an angel or an ascended being comes really close into contact with us, because we're a carrier for that frequency and we're in alignment to that creative flame, that creative process, everything in the universe has a fragrance to it, a sound, a light, a color, a symbol. And it sounds like, Jen, you really hold literally the divine feminine lineage of the Mary Magdalene energy, to be attracting it in that closely for even other people to get to experience the smell of the rose in the energy, because that's a certain type of intuition that most people don't necessarily have it unless it's instigated by somebody who's like you, like a carrier of it.
Mm.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was my first experience of that. And I remember just having conversations with you and other mentors that was sort of like a calling card of the ascended masters, this certain
Yes.
fragrances. And learning that Mother Mary's was the rose, it all made sense and
I know.
was just a really magical moment.
Yeah. And Mother Mary is also seen as a Queen of the Angels. She's also known as the Ascended Master Queen of the Angels, and works very closely with Archangel Gabriel, who helped to bring her a message, but also Archangel Camiel and that whole heart center. I always see her as the Ascended Master for the heart, is how I see her. But with that, with the angels, Jessica, I don't know if you can put up the pictures of some of Jen's artwork on the angels that she does. Super classic, super awesome pictures of those. And again, you can really just it's almost as if you could just reach out and touch the little feathers on their wings, or you could feel the air of their wings just blessing you or whatever. And if anybody's watching this on podcast, I would highly recommend going over to the YouTube, either mywildmagic.com. You can go to podcast and you can see it on my YouTube. Transformation Talk Radio, I think, has their YouTube as well. But to take a look and go to Jen's artwork page, jenniferolwig.com, to see them. This is such a visual show today because of the art. But yeah, so with your angels, the prince of the angels, are they also the sacred fire angels, or do you have other angelic beings that you feel in contact with, including maybe the angelic star beings as well?
Yeah. So right now, I don't currently have prints of the angels. So everything is original. That's on my website now.
Okay.
So go to the Angels and Guides series. They're sketches on Belgian linen. And I was really inspired by years ago, I took a trip to Zionsville, Indiana. And my mother-in-law invited me to check out this angel artist there. And this is while I was healing from my wrist surgery. And
Good
so
old wrist surgery. It's
I
always pointing in the right direction. Those surgeries, don't let them fool you. That's right.
took a day trip out there and I went with my mom, and it's called The Sanctuary by Nancy Noel. And it's this old church that she renovated and is filled with her paintings of angels, and they're huge. And I went in there and everything under my skin just lifted. I mean, it was like full body chills that wouldn't go away.
Mm.
And it's like
I
from
get them just as you're talking even. I mean, it's
it
palpable.
was
Yeah.
unbelievable. And so my mom probably had to like pry me out of there. Like, so before we left, I noticed the artist was there. And I went over to her and she looked me in the eye with her like super blue eyes. And I felt like she saw my soul. And in that moment, when I looked at her, I saw myself.
Mm.
I was like, oh my gosh, she's showing me who I am. I'm here to bring forward the energy of the angels through my own signature essence as a blessing. And so I feel like it took years for the actual literal kind of angel sketches to come through. They kind of started to come through as butterflies and watercolor wings, more ethereal watercolors. And then this past maybe year and a half, 2 years, I started sketching the angels that I would see. And then at the end of the angel sketch, when I would complete it, the angel would announce who he or she was. And I would write it down.
Yeah. So how many have you done?
Oh my gosh, I've probably done maybe about 4 dozen or
Four
so.
dozen. Wow.
Yep.
And each one is pretty much a different angel.
Yeah, and they're sort of, I would say, mostly unknown angels.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're beings, guardians of light, mostly angels. Yeah. And so the sketches will be anywhere from like 5 by 7 or 6 by 8 is like the smaller size, all the way to 24 by 24 inches. And then some of the bigger ones, I'll sew them onto another linen backing. And then I will kind of stretch it on a canvas so you can hang it on a wall.
Wow.
Um,
Nice.
yeah. So the one
Nice.
I sent you a picture of is the angel of the new paradigm. And she
Oh,
came
wait.
here most
Angel of the
recently.
New Paradigm.
Yeah.
So that was one of the ones that you just sent with me, you emailed, right?
Yeah. So she's
Jessica,
the
Jessica,
big,
make sure that one goes up. Make sure that one goes up. Angel of the
yeah.
New Paradigm. Because I'm all about the new paradigm energy
Yes.
because we've like grounded into the new earth now. We're in the new paradigm energy. That's why I think when you were talking about with the pandemic, that we are going through an ascension timeline, and some people might fall off the planet, not want to be here anymore for a number of different reasons. And some people are really finding themselves and going deeper and having greater divine connection and purpose and finding their single-minded path. And you're very much on that, but also an inspiration to other people. And so this is awesome because now it's like you're taking all of us into the new paradigm too. So I love this. I love
It's
this.
so fun. I mean, when they come through, and sometimes like there will be a message as well. And so I'll write down what the message is. Sometimes there's not. But I would say probably the majority of the time there's a message that comes in. And it might be just a sentence, it might be a paragraph, it might be a whole page.
Wow. Well, I am all about it. I'm contacting you directly after the show to get the new paradigm angel message and get the artwork into my home. I mean, I've been doing these my visuals around the house, like these wallpaper things. I'm like, forget the wallpapers. I want the new paradigm angel behind me now when I do these shows. So yes, absolutely.
Yes.
How to be
Yes.
blessed by that. I can't wait to explore more about this. Okay. Yes, I love it. So you have your angel series, you have the rose series,
Yes.
you have the candles, um,
The watercolor wings.
the watercolor wings. Okay, tell us about that.
So those came in kind of as like the next evolution of the butterflies that I started in the very beginning. So the butterflies in the very beginning were like literal butterflies, different, species that you can look at scientifically and look at their name and all of that. And then they ended up kind of taking on this ethereal quality where they were just more loose and vibrant, and they were watercolors. And then I started using crystal pigments to create them. And then my friend gifted me water from different sacred sites around the world as a gift. And so
Wow.
I started using a drop of the sacred water with each, set of wings that I would do to bring
Mm.
that frequency into the artwork itself.
Well, one of the things showing up why you're so fascinated with the wings in your energy field is that you yourself actually have wings. And because you're becoming more related to your soul energy, you started out with butterflies, probably like a child looking at butterflies, and then they're becoming more and more ethereal and gossamer and whatever. And it feels as though that's because you're getting more connected to your own soul nature of the wings that you have, which are again probably a cross between our being energies. And that that connection to nature kingdom. So that's beautiful. So yeah, I would really start looking at your own wings now.
Oh, I love that.
Tune in to your own wings and paint them and then hang that in your house.
Oh, I love
If
that.
it's just yours,
I'm on it.
I wouldn't give that one away because one of my older spiritual teachers that I had out of Atlanta, she was an amazing artist. She could paint, she could tune into the other realms of different gurus, master teachers, ascended masters, angels, and literally be in the realms with them on the etheric level and see what they look like and paint them to a T with the glimmer in their eye. So
Oh,
when you are sitting in, like, it might like be like another world that you felt like you were in, or an ascended master or an angel. But she always said that no matter what kind of art people did, light or dark or whatever, it doesn't really matter, that they were literally portals into other dimensions and that people way underestimated that. So if you had something really beautiful that you painted, you're sort of the connection point to that portal.
mhm.
So you want to keep it, you really want to keep it in a very clean energy kind of thing. But your own wings would for sure be for you personally.
I love that idea.
Yeah, but yeah, I think sometimes the more connected we do get to our soul, we do start to see who we are more in our avatar self, our sacred archetype self. Like in other words, if you weren't in human form, your wings would be there. But the more in human form you start to relate to your light body, the more your light body integrates into your physical body, and other people can literally sense your wings or your crown or your staff or your books or the essence of your energy that you've carried through lifetimes. It's the essence of who you are being seen, and you're starting to see yourself and show up now. It's awesome.
It's so fun, just the integration of it all, even
Yeah.
down to like every little lifestyle thing, like what I'm putting on my skin, what I'm eating, how much time I'm spending in the sun every day to receive that life force energy, all these different things. It's like it's all starting to coalesce into one signature energy that is my God presence and
It is. Yeah.
me.
Coalescence. That's right there. That's your book, Coalescence.
I love it.
Really great title, honestly. And it's the whole journey, all the stories you've been telling throughout the entire podcast. Each one of those was so deeply touching on a soul level. Like it's literally the language of light on a soul level, touching me and hopefully anybody else who's listening. And it's inspiring. But Coalescence would be an amazing name for your book or book series, where you get to tell your stories that were so inspirational, in the art, and just the journey is just amazing.
I love that.
Really beautiful.
So yeah, the watercolor wings are available as note cards. So that is
Oh, good.
a really lovely little gift. And I love note cards because I love just extending gratitude. I love acknowledging kindness. I love connecting with people through the written word. And so I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I have to do note cards because I love letters are amazing. I think it's what keeps the world going round.
It really, really, truly does. Well, Jen, it has been just an honor to have you on the podcast today, and we're coming to a close now. But please visit her website at Jennifer Olwig, OLWIG.com, and check out all she has to offer and more. It just feels like there's an and more at the end of everything you say. That's just such an amazing blessing. So gratitude to you for being on today. And you've been on with My Wild Magic with Adrienne, with Jennifer Olwig on Transformation Talk Radio. Have a great rest of your day and hope to see you next week.
Thanks, Adrienne.
Thanks for tuning in to My Wild Magic with me, your host, Adrienne Cobb. Each one of us has a soul purpose on this earth and a higher purpose full of creative expression and unique soul attributes. Make sure to tune in next week on transformationtalkradio.com to continue your journey home to your truest self and pursue the path of unconditional self-love. If you would like to learn more about me, visit mywildmagic.com. Again, that's mywildmagic.com.